These sorry cops we're about to talk about today belong in prison. Actually, one of them actually goes to prison, so you know it has to be really bad. These cops treaded on kids. They broke a child's orbital bone. So your orbital bone is, you see this bone around your eye socket bone? He punches a child so hard in his face that it breaks this bone. And the child has to go through extensive surgeries, and he's all messed up. And before this cop does this to this child, right before that, he goes to a different child's house, completely innocent, and drags him out of his house and brutalizes him and violates him when he did completely nothing wrong. Just went around just terrorizing the community, ended up going to prison. These stupid, pathetic, walking pieces of trash love to go around like they believe that they're above the law, and they're not above the law. They're pathetic. They're small men. These cops, what are you doing? You're attacking children? That's worse than beating on women. You attacking children with a badge. You have this badge and you're going to go beat up on children when their dads aren't around. Coward. Sometimes these cops get these badges because they were picked on as kids in school. They never got no girls, and they want to go out and they want to take out their insecurities and frustrations on the world. They're small men. They're pathetic, and we just laughing at them. We don't think, oh, you're a big man, you punching kids. You look like the smallest piece of garbage, wet noodle that is known to man. Nobody has no respect for you for putting hands on children. But anyway, let's get into it. And thankfully, this sorry son of a bitch ended up going to prison.
And now the details tonight. The families of two teenagers who were assaulted by a Delaware State trooper calling for accountability. The mothers of the young men saying that the reaction by that trooper and the numerous officers who were called to the scene was a gross overreaction to a prank. Action News reporter John Paul live for us tonight in Wilmington with the details on what he's learning about this. John.
Yeah, Gray. I mean, those families are calling for answers tonight. They want to know why their two teenage sons were attacked by the officer. They also want to know why a state trooper was able to call in so many members of law enforcement for what they're calling a game of ding-dong ditch.
The fact that this happened to my son, I'm angry. That officer came to my house with malicious intent.
Two mothers angry and shaken after their son suffered injuries at the hands of a Delaware State trooper. Siobhan Harris says her son Al was playing video games on August 21st at her home in Ellesmere when police came to his door. What happened next changed his life and was caught on this body cam video. He was yanked out of the home, forced to the ground, causing injuries, and detained. Delaware's Attorney General Kathy Jennings says Al was the second teen attacked that night by State Police Trooper Dempsey Walters.
I just want him held accountable for his actions, and I won't ever see this happen to nobody else.
The night all started with an unrelated prank. A 15-year-old identified as Jaden ran up to the trooper's home in Ellesmere and kicked his door and ran. You can see that in this doorbell cam video. Trooper Walter then called other departments for help finding the teen responsible. And he went to Al's home because he'd had an issue with him days earlier and looked up his address. That's why he yanked him out of the home. But when Trooper Walters learned the 15-year-old who kicked his door was found, he drove to that location.
Behind your back. Put your hand behind your back.
And allegedly attacked him as well, dropping a knee to his back. Then turned off his body cam, and investigators say punched the child in the face with such force it broke his orbital bone, the injury requiring an 8-hour surgery to repair, and he still has problems.
You know, I never see enough law enforcement call out this type of behavior. I never see other people from the law enforcement department come out and call out and say what he did is wrong, it's unacceptable, the police don't stand for this. I don't see enough of that. That's why it's hard to have respect for police officers as a whole. Yes, there's some good officers out there, but they need to call this type of stuff out. We have an officer going on a rampage because somebody knocked on his door, kicked his door, knocked on his door, banged on his door, whatever. And he went out on a search for blood to find the person. Keep in mind, he had a doorbell camera. So we saw the video of the white kid kicking his door. He didn't even look at the video footage. He just gets until later that's why we got the footage, because he had footage. But at that night, you can clearly see it's a white kid kick your door. So then he runs to a black kid. He looks up a black kid that he had an encounter with before, goes to his house. The kid is inside his house playing PlayStation with his friend. He don't got nothing to do with a knock on his door or bang on his door at all. Just an innocent kid. Drags him out, brutalizes him on the ground, humiliates him, violates the kid for no reason. Then when he finds out that he just did that to the wrong kid, he's not like, you know what, I'm out of control right now, I need to settle down, I just did this kid right here, I feel bad because this kid didn't do nothing. It's just a kid was playing video games and we arrested him and did this to him, so I need to calm down. No, he's just like, you know, screw it, I did this one, I'm going to run over there to this one. And he tries to cut off his body camera when he gets there, and he's so irate, I guess, he doesn't cut it off properly so it captures it, and then he punches the kid in the face and breaks his eye socket. Literally breaks his eye socket. He got to go into multiple surgeries, 8-hour surgeries. Ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. So sick. I feel so bad for these family. This officer, again, is just a walking piece of garbage, bro. Like, he's just a total waste of air.
Jaden just went back to school last week, but he is still recovering from headaches, so he's in and out of the nurse's office daily.
Now, attorneys also want to know how the trooper was able to call in so much backup. They say at least 25 officers responded and a helicopter. Tonight, the trooper is facing a dozen felonies at least. He's also charged with deprivation of civil rights. He's been suspended without pay. Live in Wilmington, John Paul, Channel 6 Action News.
He called 25 law enforcement officers, multi-jurisdictions. A literal police helicopter is out swarming around because he got a bang on his door. And he has a camera, a Ring camera. He could take 5 seconds to look and see what happened on my Ring camera. Instead, he calls an all-points bulletin, calls a helicopter, and goes on a rampage. Ridiculous. This man should have never had a badge. Clearly, he's mentally unstable. He has a habit of cutting off his body camera. Thankfully, this time he was so stupid and didn't cut it off properly, so he can't go into court and lie. You know, my camera just went off. I accidentally hit it, and we don't have no video footage. I didn't hit the kid. I don't know. I don't know how his eye socket got broken, but they caught him this time. And we're about to see him get sentenced. We're going to see what ultimately happens. Is it a good sentence? I don't think so, because what he did was to a child. So I don't think the sentence is actually good, but especially it's not good. You did this big police presence. The question is, what did you say to get this presence? You couldn't have said, you know, I had one bang on my door, so I need 25 cops to come out from different jurisdictions. Start the helicopter, crank the helicopter up. You know, those helicopters burn like $3,000 an hour of gas. Crank the helicopter up. We need everybody out. We got to find this. And then keep in mind, he's doing all this, and in his mind, his frame of mind, he thinks it's that black child. So you think it's a child who did it. So it's like, in your mind, you think it's a child, but I'm going to call this big police presence out here, da-da-da-da-da. It's no telling what he told them. But let's see the sentence. And what do you think about the sentence? Do you think it's fair? Do you think it's not?
More breaking news at CBS News Philadelphia. We follow up. A judge has just sentenced a former Delaware State trooper charged in a violent rampage.
Dempsey Walters pleaded guilty to attacking 2 teenagers last year over a doorbell prank. We want to warn you, some of the video you will see may be disturbing.
Well, CBS News Philadelphia reporter Madeline Wright is live at the courthouse in Wilmington. She's got the very latest for us. Madeline.
Good evening, Natasha, Yuki. Dempsey Walters was just sentenced to 1 year in prison and 4 years probation. Prosecutors say he punched one of those teenagers so hard that it gave him a concussion and broke his eye socket. The families of the 2 teenaged victims say they finally have justice in the case of former Delaware State Police trooper Dempsey Walters.
I mean, I was happy to see him in cuffs. Better than 90 days. But it's glad that we can move forward.
It began in August 2023 when a 15-year-old boy named Jaden ran up to Walters' house in Ellesmere, kicked the door, and ran away. Walters, with the help of his colleagues, tracked the teenager down. While Jaden was on the ground, Walters dropped his knee onto the boy's neck, causing him to scream. Body cam video shows Walters turn off his camera before punching Jaden in the face, breaking his orbital bone while he was handcuffed in a police cruiser.
The old knee to the neck, the corrupt cop special, eh? Can you believe this cop got a year in prison for this? That's it, a year. So you mean to tell me there's like a park across the street? So if I go in to the park and punch a kid and break his eye socket, all I'm gonna get is a year? That's it? Yeah, right, buddy. I'll be going to jail for like 20 years in prison. And that's not all he did was just punch one kid. Let's say if I go to a park, brutalize one kid, and then go to the other side of the park and then punch a kid in his face and break his eye socket. And then call a crazy police presence with choppers and all this stuff. 30 police, I tell them, oh, this park, and make something up and have this crazy police response. And all these police and stuff come. Buddy, you're getting like 20 years in prison for that. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. And that would just be a person with no power doing it. Now, imagine you're a person with power now. Law enforcement, and you do it. But you get a year, so it's like backwards. So if I want to do the same scenario, go to a park and punch and beat up a bunch of kids, and I want to just get a year, I got to go do 3 months of training, get a badge first. Then when I do it, I won't really get in no trouble because I'm police. You can't send police to prison for 10, 20 years. I'm a cop, right? That's how you do it, ain't it? That's right. Sick.
How is Jaden doing now?
He's recovering. You know, he's doing the best he can.
Prosecutors say Walters initially thought it was a 17-year-old responsible for the prank. He dragged the teen from his home and left him with injuries.
You need to think before you act. You know, I don't even know. I just think that he was just unhinged, and I'm just glad that he's off the streets.
Walters resigned from his job after pleading guilty to assault, deprivation of civil rights, and official misconduct in April. Delaware State Police say while they identified several policy violations involving the other troopers, no one else has been criminally charged.
You disgusting pigs. You dirt, poop rolling, donut eating, salivating from the mouth, gross hog pigs. People don't got respect for you. You do this to a child. You know, it's absurd. Can you imagine, y'all, being a black kid? At least the one who had his eye socket broken, he knew he did something. He driving around with his friends, kicking on doors and running or whatever, which obviously you shouldn't get your eye socket broken. You didn't even really do anything. You knocked on a door and ran. That's not against the law. I mean, you kick it. You shouldn't kick it, but I don't even think there's a crime there. And there was no crime because there was no crime charge for the kid. And the family ended up getting a settlement. But at least that kid knew, like, he stirred some stuff up. The black kid, you just sitting in your house playing PlayStation. Next thing you know, you thrown out, you dragged out your house, you and your buddy on the ground, got a knee on your neck, getting the George Floyd corrupt cop special on your neck. And you sitting up there like, what did I do? You know what you did. You know what you did, mother effer. You're not going to be doing this again. You said, I didn't do nothing. Shut up. Put a knee on it. Shut up, kid. Can you imagine that? Of course, that's traumatizing. That's traumatized anybody. Like, I don't know, man. And then it ain't justice. The moms are happy that he's going to prison. That's because they happy with crumbs because they see people never getting in any trouble for this. But it's like a year, dude. A year. These judges caused this, bro. I thought about making like a website where we keep track of judges who do like crazy rulings so we can like vote them out of office. But I don't know if it's a good idea or not if y'all think it's worth doing. Is that something that y'all would follow? Do y'all think like it's something that we should do and monitor these judges? Or do you think it's like a big waste of time? I don't know. But I think like that's really the gatekeepers that are stopping real accountability. Because the prosecutors charge, the juries come in and they do their job and they convict them. And then it's left up to the judge, which is one person. And then they just screw the whole rotation up and give somebody a year for this. In no world should this be a year in prison, bro. In no world. How? They're kids. You literally went on a night of a rampage terrorizing the community. There's no different than some angry father or some angry man going around to his ex's houses, go to his first ex, beat the woman up, go to the next ex, beat the woman up, punch her eye, break her eye socket, cause a huge police presence to come out in a huge disaster. That guy's not getting a year in prison. That guy's going to prison and it'd be deemed a danger to society. And that would be women. Children are worse to do it to. That guy would get like 20 years in prison for that. But this is a year. I don't know what to say. Horrible ending. Am I surprised? No. Do we need to figure something out to resolve this? Yes. For society. Because the judges are the problem. The system worked all the way up. Criminal charges. We implemented body cameras so we could catch the police officers when they do stuff with body cameras. Even though we tried to cut it off, there's an issue there, but coincidentally it worked. And there's a lot of cameras everywhere, so we get them on film sometimes. So they got the body cameras. It worked. The prosecutors in the news reported this, and the prosecutors charged. It worked. The jury showed up. 12 people showed up. Took off from their life to come and be juries for however long this trial took, maybe months, maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month. They showed up, they convicted them, did their job. Then it goes to one idiot, a judge up there, a bird-brained judge. Now you got one person who decides, I'm gonna just give him a year in prison, just mess everything up, bro. Everything up. Sick. So if you got any ideas, what do we do about that? Accountability. We got to get these people voted out. And even just that's why I think the website will be important, because just that floating out there with their name, they Google their name, just these judges' names, and we have some big website where they name and this stuff carries them. It'll send a message to other judges. We as the people will send a real message to other judges. You do these goofy rulings, you're going to be on this website, everybody going to know. Because what happens is these rulings get caught into the fold, and nobody puts the name to the judge. So it's like the judge can just do these rulings and people don't follow up, and they don't build a list of all the crazy rulings the judge did, and it's just lost. So this judge is just up there just doing whatever. Nobody knows what he did the year before, 2 years before, 3 years before. No one's keeping track of it. And that's the problem. So I'm going to keep putting some thought into that. Y'all put some thought into that. It's not a problem we can't solve. It's actually a small problem that is like, okay, why have nobody done it already? So I guess we got to do it, right? It's not a big problem to solve. Make a website that got high traffic, easy, social media. It's outrage stuff. People outraged by this stuff. And build an online reputation of the judges of controversial rulings that they do. And have an online, a rap sheet of them, essentially. If I was a judge, I wouldn't want my name there. If I know about some list, I would be very careful with my rulings. If there was some big national-wide list that the population is constantly looking at and can affect you being voted out of office. If I was a judge, I'll be a good judge anyway, but I would extra make sure I wouldn't get on the list. We got to come up with a name or whatever. I think it's a good idea, but I'll keep putting thought into it. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Man, a year for this. I don't even know what to say. Peace.